So, first, want to thank you guys all for coming to my kitchen table, and we are excited to have our first inaugural kickoff podcast for the Fathers Club. An idea we're going to talk about in a second on where that came from, but by means of introduction, thought I'd dive in. My name is Brad Holthusen. I'm a dad of 2 kids at Blue Valley High School and 2 kids at Prairie Star Middle School. Started this Fathers Club with a gentleman by the name of Vince Stevens, dear brother, great dude, love him. And we are very, very excited, along with the rest of our steering committee and the dads that have gotten involved in what's already starting to happen at Blue Valley High School. And so I'm anxious to hear from a kid's perspective, a student's perspective, if it's talked about at school and kind of some of that stuff as we talk through this. But the very intentional purpose for this podcast is for us to have a very open dialogue about some topics that happen in every single home. And the beauty of this is, except for the exception of one daughter and one dad, we are all unrelated for the most part. So it's hopefully going to be easier to have this conversation together. So anyway, that's me. Why don't we go around the table and introduce ourselves and go from there?
Okay. I'm Hannah Patterson. I'm a senior at Blue Valley, and I'm in Tiger Pride, which is the class that the BB Fathers Club came to talk to, and so that's how I got involved with this. But high-low of the week?
Yeah.
All right.
And you're also editor of the yearbook.
I'm also editor of the yearbook. Thank you, Dad. Hi,
Hey, I got to throw my pride in there. I'm sorry. I got some Tiger Pride.
That's awesome.
He's my hype man. So high-low of the week, my low would be my grandpa's sick, so I went to go see him in the hospital, so that was a little bit hard. It was good that I went and saw him, but that was hard for me. But my high of the week was probably just being able to spend time with some friends and family this weekend, and I'm not very stressed for finals because I don't have very many, so that's very good. It's a nice feeling. It's really nice.
My name is Lauren Huck. I'm also a senior at Blue Valley High School, and the low of my week would probably be finals because I've got a difficult schedule this year, so I'm pretty stressed for those. And the high of my week was seeing my cousin over the weekend. She's at K-State, so I don't get to see her that often, and we have a really good relationship, so I was glad I got to see her.
Nice.
There you go. All right. So I'm Skylar Huber. I'm a junior. I'm also in Tiger Pride. My low of the week, past couple weeks have been quite stressful. Just put it that way. It's a rough time leading up to finals. And then my high of the week is one of my brothers came home from college yesterday. So
Sweet.
it's nice to be able to see him. I have 2.
Awesome.
Yeah, they're both in college, so it's nice to be able to see one of them.
Nice.
Well, I mean, they'll both be home, but he was the first one, so it was happy.
Good.
I'm Colin Wood. I'm a junior at Blue Valley, obviously. I'd say my low of the week, I'm gonna have to agree with Skylar. It's just been kind of stressful getting everything together after kind of slipped away. And then I'd say my high of the week, 96 on my math test.
Oh, yeah.
Boy, there we go.
I'm just really proud of that, so I just want to put that one out there.
Nice. Dads?
Go ahead. My name is Tom Patterson, and I've had 5 kids have gone through the Blue Valley school system. 4 of the older ones were boys, and then Hannah's the youngest then. So, and Blue Valley has been a really nice school. I think they've done a really nice job of preparing all my boys that chose to go to college, was maybe a topic that we'll talk about. And I work for Garmin. I do executive coaching, leadership development.
Andrew Zan, real happy to be here. I've got 2 boys at Blue Valley High School, and I agree with you. I think Blue Valley is a great environment. I hope it's got them well prepared for college, but at the same time, I think the culture that Blue Valley has and the opportunity to even have the Fathers Club is pretty unique, especially in a public school system. So really looking forward to the conversation, and I guess let's get rolling.
Sweet. So I'm going to put you on the spot first, buddy, because I had a chance to come in and talk to the Tiger Pride class, and truly was that week. We're speaking of highs and lows. That was hands down the highlight of my week. You guys surprised me to the umpteenth degree. We had a chance to tell you about what the Fathers Club was, and I timed it. There was a solid hour that all you guys did was feed us great ideas, a lot of energy and passion, and we simply asked, what can we do as dads, with this Fathers Club, and that's about all of the lead-in I gave you. And one of the ideas you gave, I'm going to hand you the baton. Tell us why we're sitting here having a podcast, Colin.
So I just remember I was really excited when I heard that you guys are coming in, because
Why were you excited?
we got to meet some of the dads.
Distraction away from normal.
Not a normal class. We just kind of got to sit there, learn some stuff. But I just remember people were giving ideas, and I was like, it might have been. When did you guys come in? It was
this was probably 3.
It was the week of
4 weeks
homecoming.
ago. Was it?
Week of okay. So it was pretty fresh into the school year. And I remember over the summer, my friends had started getting me into a podcast, and I was like, who listens to podcasts? I thought that's an old people thing. And they were like, no, dude, check this out. It was a podcast. It's just a couple of guys. I don't even honestly know if they went to college or not, but they just were these relatable guys, and they were talking about relatable material. They were really, really entertaining to listen to. And then right towards the end of the summer, we were driving back from Oklahoma, a friend and I were, and we listened to like 6 hours of it straight or something like that. And I was hooked. I loved listening to it. And so when you guys were saying, how can we get some of this information out and how can we have like open conversations, I was like, well, I don't really know much about podcasts, but I know I listen to one that I like. So, why not?
There you go. And so as hopefully we have at least 1 or 2 people, I'm sure all your moms will listen to this, and that might be our only audience, but that's okay. But as we do this, can you share, Hannah, you had mentioned a way for people to submit questions and a way to interact with our Twitter handle. And I'm probably not even saying that right. It's probably not even called a handle.
No, you're right. You're right.
So, which by the way is club_BV. So on Twitter, we're just simply club_BV. Hannah was telling us before we got started a way people can interact for future podcasts, so we can have the topics be driven by the students and other parents. And we're going to get other students and other parents in here. So if you want to be on this podcast, ping us with that too, because we'll get you in here at this kitchen table and have a good time. So how do we do that?
Definitely. I think that a lot of people would love to submit questions and talk about topics, but they don't necessarily want their names out there. So if we create a Google form, which is very, very out there in the high school world, is very easy to use. We can put it on the BB Dads Club Twitter, and you guys can tweet it out. And then it can also be on your guys' Instagram bio. Perfect. And there's going to be an option for a name, or an option to just keep anonymous. And
is Twitter and Instagram the best to do this? Okay. All right.
Yeah. So you can definitely just
I see them Snapchat.
Put your questions in there. Snapchat is big, but if you're trying to reach people, put your name in there or not, and then ask your question, and then we'll be able to hopefully talk about it in the next couple podcasts. And we will, with a little bit of a wince, say that no topic is off limits, right? Because the premise of this is we want, and we'll start getting into some of these topics. And we're going to talk today about a safe topic, being comfortable in your own skin as a high school student, because we talked about that in the class the other day. Grades, pressure of grades, and if that pressure is put on you by the district, by the teachers, by parents, college, no college. There's a lot of conversations that go on at houses about that. Vaping may come up today, it sounds like. And then approachability by parents. It sounds like Skylar was saying he gets squeezed like an orange sometimes by mom and dad when it comes to topics they want to talk to him about. So this is selfishly good feedback from you guys to give us as dads of, okay, if we screw up, which we probably do 90% of the time, tell us how we don't screw up and what's a good way, rather than making you feel squeezed, how we can approach you better, right? So those are some of the topics, with the first one being diving into comfortable in your own skin. So you guys as students, tell us why that came up so much in your discussion in our classroom today that I was in there.
Who wants to take it?
Well, I think a big part of high school is getting to know who you are, like who your friends are, what you want to end up doing with your life. And I think that a lot of the school community and parents as well kind of push that on you to figure it out quicker, in a sense, but you don't really know, you don't know what you want to do. Your dad or mom might be telling you that their profession is terrific and that they want you to go into it and keep the family business going. But I mean,
Do you have a is there a family business?
no.
Okay.
No.
As in, for example.
Yeah. Okay.
For example, sorry. And I just think kids need to like run their own path, like not like they need to burn their own path, like how they want to go. Like I don't know. Like a lot of people. All right.
No,
all right,
I completely
I'm
agree.
going.
Yeah.
I'm going to rewind here,
Yeah.
but
You're good.
You're good,
You're
man.
good, man.
I mean, all right.
No, I
I'm
agree with
blanking
that
now,
because
yeah.
I know a lot of my mom's friends who have kids that are my age. My mom definitely wanted me to be friends with them and kind of pushed me in that direction, and I felt obligated to be friends with these certain girls even though I was not comfortable around them. And so it took me until my high school career to figure out that I wasn't necessarily comfortable with who I was and the decisions I was making with this group of girls. So I had to have that conversation with my mom that I needed to do what made me comfortable, and she eventually understood that what I was saying was true.
How old were you when you had that conversation with your mom?
I was a sophomore in high school.
Okay.
Yeah. But I've been friends with these girls since I was in kindergarten, so that was definitely hard
Yeah.
to have
Yeah.
that conversation.
For sure.
Yeah, and then you get into the factor of when you're not comfortable in your own skin, that affects your mental health. And there's so
Absolutely.
many problems these days with suicide and depression and anxiety, and it's off the charts in high school. It seems like every other person I talk to, they're like, I'm so anxious this week, or like this week was just like so bad, or I've had a horrible day. And I think that being able to be comfortable in your own skin allows each other to raise each other up and be a better community, especially a Tiger community. I feel like we have a really good community right now, but it can always be better.
So what can we as parents or the Fathers Club do to help create an even better environment to enable you guys to do that? I mean, I think it's really cool to hear that, that you came to that conclusion and had that conversation with your mom proactively.
Yeah.
But I know there's a lot of kids out there that may not have that kind of courage to do that, and or could have a different situation where they want to be included in something, but they don't know how to be, and they feel like they're left out.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be the opposite. So what can we do or the school do to help create a better environment for people to be open about that type of stuff?
That's a good question.
Throughout Tiger Pride, we've learned a lot of lessons, and each of us teach a lesson. And one of the biggest ones that I've learned is vulnerability. And being able to have tough conversations with people, especially your parents. It's really, really hard to go up to somebody and say, hey, I need help, or hey, I am struggling with this, but making sure that you are approachable and not trying to like force yourself onto. If you're a parent and you see like your kid struggling, yeah, reach out to them, but not forcing yourself on it. Because I know that I have this relationship with my mom, and it's taken a while for me to get there, but I'm able to tell her so many things, but it didn't start out that way.
Right.
It started out with in like a really bad place, and now I'm able to go to my mom or even my dad for so many more things because I started with that tough conversation.
I mean, I'm lucky enough to not have had that conversation with my parents. I don't know. Everyone kind of knows I'm just kind of an oddball in general, but especially in this regard, I am very comfortable in uncomfortable situations. Like that's just what I mean. I don't know. I just find it to be more entertaining. I don't know. I find myself to be in my element then. So a lot of the conversations I have with my parents or people or just any of that stuff, I'm usually very comfortable. And what my parents, I think maybe the best thing that they taught me, which is why I could talk to them about so much stuff, is either just complete and full honesty or just holding yourself accountable. Like at the end of the day, your actions, the person it affects most is going to be you. And I think they taught me that really well. I think I just know whatever I do, maybe my parents won't agree. Maybe they won't agree for the right or wrong reasons, but as long as I can agree and I can think I did the right thing, I think that's what makes me so comfortable with my own skin. Mm-hmm. But I'm weird, so.
So you,
I'm weird.
so you talk. I heard you say vulnerability, which is a really mature way to look at it.
Yep.
And I think you're spot on. Are you talking about with interactions with your parents or with your peers, or vulnerability to be comfortable wearing whatever you're comfortable in at school versus feeling like what you have to wear, or where does the vulnerability come in, or where is that most key, at home or at school?
I think it starts, well, it depends on who you are and what relationship you have with your friends and family. I think a big one is starting with your friends, just being like, hey, this is what's happening in my life. You don't have to hide behind a curtain. You can talk to your friends. Your friends should be able to help you through your problems, and if they aren't helping you, then they're not your real friends, honestly. That's what I think. If they're not there to help you, then you shouldn't be friends with them. So I think that's a really good place to start for some people, because they're too afraid to go to their parents. And then also you can go to them if things spiral, but honestly, our teacher says vulnerability is sexy, and that's
Yes.
that is
Yeah, I don't know how many
Yes.
times I've heard
Every
that.
time.
It's a lot.
Oh yeah.
That's her saying.
If I had
Yep,
a dollar
she says
for every
it all the
time.
time.
Oh, yeah.
Vulnerability is sexy. Doesn't matter what it is, but being able to have tough conversations
get it
with
when you
people
speak.
is just attracts other people to be around you. And so I think just in general, anything that you're able to talk about that's tough, you think you're the only one going through it, but once you talk about it, people are like, well, me too.
Do they teach you guys how to have crucial conversations in school?
No.
They don't.
Well, we've
In
learned
this class,
we've learned in
entire
this
class.
class.
Yeah.
Because
But
we've
no,
learned
I
that.
taught that class today.
Yeah.
Did you really?
I taught that class today, and I'm thinking about how.
Was he in today?
No, at his work.
Oh, your work.
Yeah, at work. I was teaching that to adults, and it's really interesting vulnerability. And really, the most difficult conversations that you have are the ones you choose not to have.
Right.
I mean, and that's it. But you look at your lives and think about where you all have come in the last couple of years. So think about where you were as freshmen. And you walked in the door,
I don't
when you
even
were-
want to.
right?
I know, right?
But look how far every single one of you have come. And I wish I could show you all 10 years from now and look back today.
Right.
And you guys, and excuse my French, you're going to say, what the hell was I thinking? But I can't. But it's a process. And the things that are right now that you're learning are planting seeds that you're going to really start to develop as an adult. And I tell my kids this all the time. And my job as an adult, as a parent, is to really help my kids really plant these seeds that's really going to foster this growth within you. But look how much you've grown already.
Yeah.
And you've grown, and I don't know if you all realize this, that how mature and how far you've come and your vulnerability as far as being true to yourself. And I have a different perspective because I taught high school for 10 years.
Okay.
But I taught in an era where there was no social media. Because I'd have been fired if I was a teacher with social media today.
What do you mean by that, Tom?
Yeah, that's another podcast. But I'm telling you, I felt sorry for kids back then. I don't know, man. It's tough. I know it's tough, but I wish I could tell you guys and just give you guys a hug and say it's going to be okay. Just be who you are. Be comfortable with who you are, and do not let anybody tell you anything different. Yeah. And if they are, they're not your friend.
Couldn't agree more.
Exactly.
Couldn't agree more.
Weird.
Yeah, weird.
I would tell you it's something that we could do is that crucial conversations. I think, given the environment that you guys live in today with social media, right, and all the things that can happen with that, and the amount of information you guys ingest, right, and what you have at your fingertips, I do think that the curriculum in schools should change a little bit to help people have these kind of conversations and deal with that, and that's non-traditional.
Another podcast,
Right? Another
I have
podcast.
such about school and what should be changing with school.
But at the same
bring
time,
it back,
to your point, I would agree with you, at least from my perspective as a parent. I think my job, I don't say planting seeds, but I say it's about laying that foundation
Sure. Yeah.
to enable you to, when you have to make a difficult decision or face a challenging decision, that hopefully the right foundation is there for you to make that. But there's one thing, a bit of advice I'd love to give you guys, and maybe some of you do it or don't do it, but I would have the courage for every day to just try and meet somebody new and have a conversation. And and that's kind of what I do for a living. But I will tell you, it is absolutely amazing when you reach out to somebody just cold and, hey, how you doing? What's going on? Are you doing okay? And what you'll learn and how you may develop a friendship with that individual, or how you may learn something really unique and cool about that individual and how it can impact your life. And maybe that's not something that you do in high school, but I think as you get older, and particularly when you go to college, you're going to need to meet new people. But as you get into the working world and whatever you do, you're going to meet new people, and that can really transform your whole attitude and your well-being for who and who and what you are.
Great point. So I'm gonna, because this topic could go on for a whole 45 plus minutes, right? Very good stuff. I'm gonna have Skylar. You're gonna close us out on this. Are you ready for this? So you all resonated and shook your heads, and you're like, yeah. When Tom said, think about when you were a freshman, and how much you've grown and matured since then. So Skylar, you've got a freshman audience in front of you, you big stud junior, getting ready to go into your senior year. What do you tell those freshmen? And be raw, be vulnerable, be honest. Think about when you were in their shoes, and the hell you went through your freshman year, and maybe you didn't, but a lot of these freshmen and sophomores, what would you tell them to help them avoid that?
Honestly, I would tell them find their true friends first, because friends are a big part of high school. Who you hang out with, who you're around, what you're doing. I know my freshman year, I was the new kid to the school. I went to private school, K through 8, and I came into high school. I didn't know a ton of people. Like, I knew some because where I lived, but I was floating in between if I wanted to try to be like in the popular crowd or whatever, or stick to like the people I knew and like who I hung out with. And that freshman year was rough. Just getting kind of settling. Not even settling down, just figuring out who really I wanted to be with and who wanted to be with me. Yeah. So, yeah, that's find who your friends are.
Beautiful advice. Colin's dying to say
Yeah, I love it.
As much as I agree with Skylar, I don't really agree. I think.
Yes.
I think. Yeah. No. I mean, I think that just when you're spending so much time getting to figure out yourself, I feel like with friends, everyone's doing it at the same time, and there's a lot of stuff that goes like unsaid or like misunderstood or whatever, and it can cause friendships to end really quickly in high school. And obviously the maturity level is kind of a problem, which is why I think what's made me the most what I would say to a freshman is meet a teacher that really makes an impact on you, because I've been able to do that every year, and it's made me so much more successful. It's helped me get out because they have been there as much as they've been there a while back, like some before there was even computers, but they know all the stuff that we don't. Exactly.
Guilty.
But the thing is, you're going to learn so much more from them than you're going to learn from anyone else your age combined. Like, I've had freshman year, I met Miss Hiza in honors biology, and she came out just guns a-blazing and screaming at the class, blah, 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 and I loved it. And I got to know her, and she is a just fantastic lady. She'll scare you a little at first, and she knows it, but gotta love her. And then she helped me a lot sophomore year. Sophomore year was really a struggle for me, in school, out of school with family stuff, all that. And then junior year, I've gotten to know my ACT prep teacher, who is the exact opposite of me. And when they say opposites attract, I mean it, because she is the biggest type A rule follower person ever, Miss O'Brien, if you guys know her. And I am the exact opposite. I will try to break every rule you put in front of me. And she has helped me grow so much as a person and become so much more mature, and helped me fix all of my grades, which are terrible. So I would say freshmen, find a teacher that you mesh well with, because they are going to teach you so much more in and out of school than any good friend of yours can possibly. I don't know what word to say there, but yeah.
That's great, man. Well, okay, good. And you girls were did you have anything you wanted to say to freshmen? I can't cut you off after.
I'm not as passionate as Colin is on this, but I I would say, like I mentioned earlier, I was with a group of friends that my mom had introduced me to at a young age, and in high school I realized that they weren't necessarily the best for me, so I had to stray and drift apart from them, just for my sake, I think, because they just weren't very healthy for me to be around. And so that was a really hard realization. And so if I would go back and talk to my freshman self, I would just say that, like Skylar said, it's important to find a core group of friends that you are comfortable with, and to be comfortable in your own skin before, I think it's important that you're comfortable with yourself before you can become comfortable with anyone else. So making sure that you're happy with who you are, and you're stick to your morals, and you know what your morals are. And with that being said, it's easy to find who you'll mesh well with, I guess. If that makes
That's
sense.
good advice. And it doesn't change, by the way.
No, it doesn't.
After high school.
Once you know
No,
your values,
yes.
decisions come easy.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
That's great. Hannah, you gonna close us out with freshman advice?
So from a girl's standpoint, I think so many people know this, but girls can be so mean. So mean.
They really can.
Never.
And
Oh my
coffee's
gosh.
hot.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh my
I
gosh.
mean, there's a movie after it. Like,
Yes.
there's no mean guy.
No.
Girls. Mean boys.
So I just remember freshman year, like I was in the same boat as Skylar. I came in from a private school. I went to St. Michael's. Came in. What? I know. Yeah.
I'm learning so much already.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know as many people, but I grew up in a household that I think has made me so carefree and so easygoing. And I did struggle freshman year with just adjusting to high school. But one thing that I loved when people said was just, you just don't care. Like, you just are so go with the flow. And I would just love that. I'd be like, oh my gosh, like, I am. Like, yes, that's like, I love it. So my thing is just, like, for girls especially, just don't give into the drama.
Oh my gosh.
Just
don't
pass it
Oh
on.
my gosh.
Don't start it. Don't spread root. Like, it is so
Preach into the choir.
mind-boggling
fun to
that people
watch,
can be
though.
so mean to each other.
I think it's fun to watch.
Oh my
It is
gosh.
mind-boggling. I mean, but you love, like,
Drama.
No, I mean,
no, you don't love drama, but you like
I like seeing how
Egging
people react
people
to
on.
you
stuff.
like ruffling people's
Yeah.
feathers sometimes.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so speaking of ruffling people's feathers,
Yes.
first of all, great commentary, great stuff. I'm gonna jump right into vaping.
Cool.
Okay.
The big one.
So
Bold strategy, Colin.
Yeah, that's it. There you go.
Bold
oh
strategy.
my god.
See how this one plays out.
It's funny.
So
Let's hear it.
explain vaping to me.
I couldn't tell you.
I couldn't tell you
I
either.
honestly think
What
it's
is
the
vaping?
dumbest thing
I will-
ever.
Well, no. What is it?
I don't know.
Okay.
Okay, Scott, rip it.
All right, so it's a device, a handheld device that uses. So it has a battery in it, and it also has a pod or juice in it. So the pod has the juice in it, which is the thing that fuels it, basically. So you suck on it, goes into your lungs. All right, you take a rip of it,
Ingest it.
and you ingest the smoke.
Inhale it.
Inhale it.
Chemicals.
You inhale it. The chemicals.
Yes, it's so bad
The
for you.
chemicals, the flavor, the nicotine into your lungs.
And you look so cool when you blow it out.
And
Like,
you
for
blow-
sure.
Then you blow it out.
Oh my gosh.
Do I do no sarcasm?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
It's like the new smoking.
So
So it's smoking through this.
it's cool smoking.
It's
basically.
worse for you than
but
a
it's-
cigarette, though.
I'm sorry, it's not.
And
What?
it gets you like
Buzzed.
buzzed
Buzz.
from
Yeah.
like
Is it
nicotine
different
or
from
whatever.
smoking a cigarette?
Yes.
They say
I mean,
it's worse than
technically,
smoking
yeah.
a
See,
cigarette.
that's
like,
my thing.
Like 10
Yeah, I
times
know
more
that.
nicotine.
It tastes better and it smells better, but like
It's cleaner.
But is it?
Cleaner. I don't know.
Is it a big issue?
it's
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Why is it
Insane
Yes.
people do it.
So
They
let
are
me- let-
addicted.
Let me make it quick, and then we got to hear from the healthcare guy on this.
Okay.
Quick observation. According to a lot of high school students I've talked to, everybody, and no, literally, Mr. Holthuse, and literally, Dad, everybody vapes. Everybody vapes. So when I hear that, that's right. So I'm hearing at this table that that's not the case.
No.
Either you're putting on good faces, or so does everybody vape is one question. Second question is, how often, I walked out of a classroom once, quick story, I'm not going to name names or where I was, but in Blue Valley High School, and I see this little pass going on from one to another, paying some money, which I know happens all over that school all the time, right? There's stuff being sold all over that school, vapes, you name it. So let's talk about that. How big of an issue is it, or is it an issue? But before we talk about it, let's hear from the healthcare expert on.
Well, I don't want to. Yes, it's to your point. It's not healthy. I equate it to my generation. Everybody tried cigarettes, and people smoked cigarettes, and we all know now cigarettes are bad, cigarettes are expensive, and this is sort of the new smoking. I think from a whether it's healthy or not, I think what we don't know today is there's not a lot of evidence out there that can tell you how bad it could potentially be for you. And because you're putting the juice, and because it's not regulated, that the juice from time to time has had some interesting things in it that could create, some short or long-term negative impact on your well-being. So what kind of freaks me out about this is that your generation is a lot healthier than our generation. When we were in high school, there wasn't this commitment to fitness. There wasn't this year-round sports. There wasn't this,
Right.
We were all just kind of like you'd play rec and maybe you would be on a football team and you would
We had a smoking area.
Yeah,
in my high
and
school.
we
There's a
smoked.
place
It
you
was
could go
not
smoke.
a big deal.
That's funny.
But your generation, you guys are all really committed to being fit into your bodies. So I'm like, why would anybody do this?
In our generation also, it was the burnout smoked, and you'd go to the burnout corner to smoke, and now it's like, no, it's not burnouts, it's everybody per se.
Everybody.
So comment on the everybody part. You're dying to say something again.
I was gonna piggyback off of what he said. Everyone knows how big cigarettes were. I think what was it? Maybe 60s is the height of it. I don't know.
Go back to the 80s.
80s.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
the
even
early
sooner than I
80s.
thought.
Yeah.
That was just the fad. That's what everyone did.
It was cool.
And it was cool. Sounds familiar. No one really knew what the health benefits or
Consequences.
Yeah, ramification, consequences.
I think
all
we
that.
knew it was bad back then, but we didn't know,
Didn't know
it was
how
that
bad.
How bad?
That's right.
But see, that's the
The
thing.
Marlboro man was cool.
That's the thing, though. I don't know how people that's a stick of solid materials. You're putting this juice inside of your lungs. I don't understand. And that just bothers me. I don't want to put things in my body that can further damage it, and I don't know what it is.
Well, and how big of a problem is it actually within
Well,
the school?
I would say everybody.
What worries
has to
me
have
is
done it.
that I know some of my friends can't go an entire day
Oh,
without using their, which I think is very sad and almost
I think
pathetic.
it's pathetic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would tell you what I told my boys. We were having this discussion over the weekend. And because I know in some instances, and maybe was it Chase over there that you were telling me that the Juuls had that high impact nicotine in it.
Really?
So that's what creates the addiction, right? And keeps you coming back and more. And we all know nicotine's bad for you. So we were talking about it. So as a father, I know that my kids are going to try stuff. I fully expect it. I did it, right? At the same time, you hope that you understand how and when to do these things and to create a safe environment and that you don't get addicted to these things. But I would tell you that I would rather my kids smoke cigarettes than vaping.
Really?
Yeah, I
Wow.
would. Simply,
Bold statement.
Seriously.
I would say the same thing.
Interesting.
Simply because we don't know what's
Diesel.
We don't know what the long-term impact is. We've seen popcorn effect, all this other stuff.
Popcorn lungs.
Popcorn lungs makes you just cough a lot, basically.
I don't know what
No,
that is.
it's
What's popcorn?
It's deforming your lungs.
Oh,
it's
I don't-
it's
I
deforming
thought it
your
was what
lungs.
Skylar did. So that's even
Va-
worse. Wow.
Vaping,
No, yeah, that's
vaping
worse.
is
Or smoking
is doing this to you.
cigarettes.
No,
There has been in the past. We might have to get the camera guys in here because we were having this discussion ahead of time. But in the past, because of some of the chemicals that were in this, was creating this popcorn effect in your lungs that were deforming your lungs.
Oh my gosh.
oh, yeah,
Pop-
that's
like-
not what- that's
From a
not-
vape?
Chase, get
Like
you
it
some.
looks like
Get you some.
popcorn?
Get in here, Chase.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Special
guess
guest,
so.
baby.
No, that's the beauty.
So they've already
From
noticed that
behind
from
the
how
cameras.
recent vaping is? Oh my gosh.
Come on, give us some, Chase.
Chase.
Okay, so what I read on the internet, what was the big deal about vape juice
And it must be true.
popcorn lung? So I don't quote me on it, but there's a certain chemical. Record it and put it out. All right. So there's a certain chemical that they use to make it was like a buttery taste into the juice, so like something that tasted like food, like popcorn or something like that.
ironic.
And they used to put it in, and they didn't know what it did, and it was called started with a D. I don't remember exactly what it was, but that was what caused it, and it was way back when they used it, and not many newer ones use it because if you get popcorn lung from it, they're not going to buy it anymore. So.
But do kids know when they buy that?
Oh no, there's nothing on the bottle that
No,
will tell
you
you.
gotta-
How long has vaping been around?
I mean,
Wasn't its original intention so that you would quit
Yes.
smoking?
Yes.
It was
Okay.
a healthier alternative to smoking. But when you said, you find it pathetic that when
Yes.
kids can't go. Okay,
It's an addiction.
it's an addiction. It's not necessarily their fault. So okay, it's
is
their
their
fault
fault.
that
I
they got
understand, yeah.
addicted to it. They started it in the first place and they got addicted to it. But it's nicotine is one of the most addictive things.
Right.
Yeah.
Back me up
it's
there.
cigarettes.
Is that it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Once you start that, you can't just. I mean, it's nearly impossible
Yeah.
to just outright quit.
Yeah.
Just cold turkey, it's almost impossible.
So the difference between the e-cigarettes, the vaping, and all that stuff.
Is e-cigarettes and vaping the same thing?
Honest to God, I don't really know.
I am
Yes.
so
yeah, big old
I thought,
back.
are they all just synonyms of one another?
Big old clouds.
I think the difference here is that because it's not regulated by the FDA, that there's a black market for it where people are manufacturing their own juice and they're putting all this stuff in here. So people are inhaling or ingesting this stuff, not really knowing what they're putting into their body. And so my comment is, if you're going to do one, smoke the cigarette because I at least know what you're getting there. And I know it's not good for you, and I'm not encouraging my kids to smoke, by the way. But the overall point is that one I don't understand because it is so foreign, it's so unknown, and I mean that one's bad. I mean it can have really bad, long-lasting effects.
I gotta vouch for vaping here real quick though. I mean, everyone knows they do it at schools. I mean, that's just kind of common knowledge. I will say, this is kind of more of a funny note. It makes bathrooms smell so much better.
It does. It does. The locker room smells so good.
Bathroom.
I'm not condoning it.
Bathrooms are fine.
Bad, but in the bathrooms, if you're gonna do it at school, students and whoever.
Girls' bathrooms
So many
smell
people
fine.
in there at a time just
Want some?
talking, having conversations.
I mean, it is. It does help with social skills in some way if we want to vouch for it. But in the bathrooms, it does. Those juices smell so
It's like
good.
watermelon when you
They
walk
smell
in.
amazing,
Yeah.
and the bathrooms smell just horrid. So,
No, lock
I mean, if you're gonna do it in the bathroom. That's all I gotta say.
How about
Colin
Blade
Wood.
plugins? Y'all ever heard
Yeah,
of
no
Blade plugins?
I mean, I don't know. I went to a boys' bathroom. Girls' bathrooms smell just fine. Maybe it's from the vaping. Maybe it's not. Not really sure. But
Guys,
I got
yeah. What I have to say about vaping is that, there's a reason that kids get into it, and I think everybody has their own reason, whether they're
valid, some
stressed, and their friends told them that this would help, or they just want to feel buzz, or they want to be cool.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know people who have done it, and I don't necessarily understand, and I wouldn't ever want to be addicted to something, but I think there are also some bigger issues behind why people start it.
Masking other issues, maybe other
I
ways to
agree.
deal with those issues. Solid comment.
Like the stress of final exams?
Yeah.
Stress
of
school in
general.
Yeah,
Stress of school in
the
general.
other day I was like,
What?
wait, did you just, I was Snapchatting a friend and they were like, I was like, did you just get a jewel? And they were like, yeah, I'm really stressed this week.
So is that why they started, or do you just
I'd
start
say-
it because
I would say that has to be part of the reason. School's getting really, really stressful. So
Why is school getting stressful? Is it the academics, or
I'm
is
sure,
it-
like we said, that's a whole other podcast in and of itself.
But
like,
actually, that's a good segue. Finish your comment. We're going to go into pressure and anxiety, and so finish your comment.
well, I mean, the
Good
same way
segue.
that people take smoke breaks from their jobs and everything, it's just like it makes you feel better. It takes away the stress of real world, and it gives you that 5 minutes where you can kind of just. And if you get buzzed with this high nicotine stuff, I don't know what it's like. It sounds awesome though. But it sounds like you go to like Pixieland for like 5 minutes, and so I mean, yeah, I get that. Then if people are wanting to do that to get away from the stress of parents, school, college, high school, I mean, you name it, the list goes on, and that's what we're gonna talk about. But like, yeah, I mean, that's definitely has to be a factor. That's got to be factual.
There's an issue always behind the issue.
Yeah.
Bingo. So closeout comment to piggyback on what you just said. It sounds like you've not done it. So if you're
Yeah,
not
no,
doing
you can
it,
put me on a lie detector test.
Okay,
Never.
cool.
I
So
got
you-
offered $60 one time, and I still didn't, which is
Still
probably
didn't do
pretty
it.
stupid. But
because you're
Good for you.
Yeah, wait.
I'm super stubborn, so I think that's more it than comfortable. But
So
yeah.
as you talk about, it sounds great. Pressure of finals, so on and so forth. 5 minutes in Pixieland. So if you're not needing that, what are you doing to get your 5 minutes in Pixieland or to relax and de-stress? You got 30,
great question.
30 seconds. Go.
I don't know, just doing whatever makes you happy. Like Caitlin Hoy did a lesson on passion. I think with those people that don't have to rely on that stuff, they take the time to find stuff that they're passionate at. And I think that's what shows a great level of maturity for people our age is when they're not doing all that stuff that all the other 90% or whatever of high schoolers are, they're the 10% that are going to be successful in life because they're doing things to make themselves more successful. They're developing passions and whatnot. I think also some people are just too busy for it. Some people got to go home. They got to take care of their siblings. They got to take care of their parents. They got to take care of a lot of stuff. So, I mean, some people are just better than that. Some people have more faith in themselves than to rely on a device to get them through tough times. That they do it all themselves. And I got mad props to those people.
Nice. Great closing comment.
Yeah.
Very good. So I'm going to segue into the grades and school and anxiety and stress, because anxiety, mental health as an overall blanket topic is a major issue for you high school students. And
Yep.
I mean, it's major to the point of suicide rates are way up. I would venture to guess it's way more than half of the students that walk the halls of your high school that are dealing with some level of anxiety that we didn't deal with when we were in high school.
I agree.
And as parents, as dads, my guess is we attribute that to, screens and social media and always seeing these things. As students, what would you say? Pop out some thoughts on what do you think that is attributing? What's causing that in your age, your generation? Skylar's ready.
Yeah. I actually just had this conversation today. I think the culture around Blue Valley High School and the Blue Valley District and just like Overland Park, the expectation is excellence. And if you give anything less than that, then you're not good.
Considered
That's not
stupid.
good. Yeah, you're considered stupid. If you have an average C, if you have a 2.0 or 2.5,
That don't fly.
why are you at school? Why are you not in school during Tiger Paws A, Tiger Paws B, after school, before school, all weekend doing your work? I don't know. I mean, listen. The culture, I love the culture. I love Blue Valley. It's just, it gets stressed. That's a big part of it, is just the expectation. And if you don't quite reach that, then you get frowned upon. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying to some people it is.
I would say that you guys have it so hard. And that was well said about the expectations academically because of Tiger Paws, Tiger Pride, all this for tutoring, all this other stuff, and just that is so hard. And I think about like sports. If any of you are athletes or were an athlete, it's okay, if you play baseball, so you play baseball in the spring, in the summer, and then you take lessons in the winter, and it's a 365-day sport. If you play football, right, we start practicing in the summer. We're lifting weights all year. We're doing this and that. And the expectations that you guys have, it's like professionals in everything that you do. And when we were kids, we didn't have that. And so I feel for you guys, and I'll be honest with you, as a parent younger, I fell into that trap of setting those expectations and putting that pressure on my kids. And I've learned now that, hey, you can't conduct yourself that way. But I feel for you guys, and I get where the anxiety comes from. I'd love to hear how, as a parent, we can help support you through those things and help you through that, and meeting the expectations that you set for yourself, rather than applying more pressure on you.
And I don't know what comes first, the chicken or the egg, but like when you have that pressure to be excellent and you don't meet it, and then it causes problems that you don't think that you're good enough, and then you're not good enough, so you don't try again on your next test, and then the cycle never ends. I don't know where it starts or what comes first, but there's so much pressure to be a certain person, which piggybacks right on to full circle of being comfortable in your own skin, that you're not trying to be yourself, you're trying to be better than the next person. You're trying to be like I'll admit, like my brother, who's older than me, he's so smart, and I thought that he was like the perfect student, everything, and he got 31 on his ACT or 32 on his ACT, something crazy. And I was like, I have to beat Noah. I have to be better than him. And I don't realize, I talked to my dad, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, and he was like, did you know that Noah's constantly stressed out from school? Like, he's constantly putting pressure on himself to do his best. And I was like, I had no idea. And I was trying to be better than Noah, and I was trying to be just him and be the perfect student, and I didn't even realize what he was going through. And so I just...
And do you think that that's something that you felt that we expected of you as parents?
It's an irrational thinking, because you tell us what you say as a parent, which is what I really appreciate, is try your best and we'll be proud of you. Put in all your effort, put in everything you can, and if that comes out to be a C, so be it. But you tried your best, and you know you tried your best. If you come out with a C, that means it's not for you. You know, if math isn't your strong suit, math isn't your strong suit. Find something that you're good at and strengthen yourself in that.
I think for me, a lot of my pressure comes from my parents, and I don't say that as a bad thing. They want me to be the best person I can be, and I didn't think I realized that until really recently. I mean, I think it's kind of like being comfortable in your own skin, but kind of not. For me personally, it's just being the best person you can be, and you always hear that, and it's like, yeah, but there's always going to be people better than me and whatnot. And I'm not even just saying this because he's in our Tiger Pride class, but I think it was during his lesson, Alex Tata had said, you know, I wanted to be in the Naval Academy since I could remember, and I never thought I was good enough. And then eventually I was just like, well, why not me? And he's like, yeah, people are smarter than me and whatnot, but I'm going to find things that I'm better at than them, and I'm going to excel at those. And I wish it would have hit me earlier, like freshman year. So I'm hoping this hits some freshmen or something. But I wish I would have realized, why not me? And why not? And that's helped me a lot these last couple of weeks, focusing less on the pressures of school and kind of focusing not more on me, because that sounds kind of weird, like, oh, more me time, whatever. No, like finding, like, I'm going to shout out our camera guy, Chase. I mean, I am thoroughly impressed that he already seems like he has a passion at our age for DJing and all this stuff. And I think it's just the coolest thing ever, because while I'm like doing these sports and whatnot, he's already finding something that really makes him happy. And I don't really see anyone that does that as well as and as broadcasted as he does. And I think he's a great role model for doing that. And that's somewhere I wish I could be, because I think the more you focus on your passion, and that's what I think parents can do more, is helping us find a passion rather than our passion having to be school or sports or whatever, finding passion outside of that and using the things that we have to do, like sports and school, to find lessons in that and help us be more successful at that.
Well said. So we just had a daughter point across the table to a dad. What is that all about? Is that the lesson you've learned?
Yeah, my dad always says, well, he said this earlier, but find your values and then your decisions come easy. And he also always talked about being able to find your passion, being able to find what you want to do. And I do think that his job has helped him to be a great parent, but I mean, you explain what you think about passion and strengthening your strengths.
I think it goes back to everything that you guys talk about is what drives you guys? What gets you up in the morning? And do not define yourself by what other people say about you, and grades don't define you. Right? And I agree with you. I think that Blue Valley puts a lot of pressure. And when I first went to Blue Valley and listened to Mr. Bacon talk, I think there's a lot of unintended consequences that happens. And I think their intent is really positive because they want you all to succeed, but they will not allow you all to fail. And I think that we have to allow our kids to fail and pick themselves up. And we've got helicopter parents with bubble wrap kids.
Yeah.
Oh God, that's the worst combo.
And it's like let them fail and pick themselves. I'll be there to support you, but I think we have to allow our kids to do more and more of that.
Yeah.
And be there to be support. And the biggest thing I can tell a parent to do is just listen. My daughter's gonna get, but in those 6 letters of listen is the word silent. And I think we as parents just need to shut up sometimes and be quiet and let our kids
I
talk.
agree with that.
Yeah.
Yes,
I'm just gonna
absolutely.
say.
And you say listen to understand.
Listen with the intent to understand versus the intent to respond. And because the biggest fear I think that we as human beings, our biggest fear is being judged. I don't care how old you are. And we judge in so many different ways, but really help our kids find their passion and support that passion.
Yeah.
And that's what I want my kids.
Which is such good advice, because the reality is, on both of your comments, there are, right now is a perfect example, and I heard this last night at the Blue Valley Southwest First Father's Day Club, and I wish I could remember his name. He's the cross country coach, the wrestling coach. Great guy.
Deleasel.
Say it again?
Deleasel?
No,
What's
the
it-
Southwest.
Oh, sorry.
Southwest. That's okay.
Please look good too.
And then
Yeah.
the other guy that mentioned a couple things along these lines was the football coach for Blue Valley Southwest. But their comment was around there's a lot of great trades work that men and women didn't go to college and are doing phenomenal work.
Absolutely.
They love it. And if part of you got to feed your family and pay the bills. Man, there's some tradecraft out there that are killing it on that side.
And there's a
they're
shortage.
happy.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
huge
there's a
shortage.
Huge.
We-
You could get a job in construction today and make a lot of money. And
If you became a
nobody wants to
welder, and I'm not saying this is the
We talked about this in government today.
If you could become a welder, you guys would be killing it.
Yes.
Really?
We talked about
and
underwater
electricians.
welding. We
Yes.
talked about.
So, did you know that? So, you're talking about this trade work that the Greater Kansas City Chamber of Commerce and companies like Honeywell, J.E. Dunn, they have all formed a huge task force, and they are now recruiting at the elementary school level to educate on the benefits of trade work, because we do not have enough workers in this community, and we're building this airport that they
We
can't.
are?
Well, supposedly they will not have
gosh.
enough people
not go there.
to do the work. Anyway, off topic.
Yeah,
but
I don't
yes.
even know what trade work. I don't even know what trade work is, and I feel like that shows how much schools really want you to be these like type A jobs and everything. And I think it was kind of a eye-opening to me when you came in and spoke, because I'm not like dumb. Like I'm bright enough in school to get by.
Nobody at Blue Valley is dumb.
Yeah.
Let's be
Yeah, you're not.
honest.
And then obviously I like to talk a lot, so I hope I developed a couple social skills. But seeing you talk about your job piqued a lot of interest, and I didn't know like that was even a thing.
Yeah, right?
Because I mean obviously.
And what did
I'm
I tell
very-
you that it's going to make you successful? Do you remember?
Oh God, I
Can you get in front of people and talk?
Yeah.
yes.
he can.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And find a topic that you're passionate about.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see, and I was so impressed with your presentation and just your job and everything, because like my parents work at an engineering company, Burns McDonnell, and I hear plenty about Garmin and I know people that work at Garmin, and I would have never ever guessed that Garmin would have had a job that you have, and I think that's so cool.
There's a lot of us around.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
Once
After
from
the
the
class,
Yeah.
I was like, I went home. I was like, Dad, did you notice that one kid? Like, he was super interested. And his name was. I was like explaining. I was like, his name was Colin. Like, do you remember? He's like, yeah. He was asking a lot of questions. I was like, he would be so good for the job.
So I mean, that's just crazy to see. I wish that schools did that more. Just brought in those guest speakers instead of learning about like mitochondria being the powerhouse of cells.
Bingo.
That was-
That's something I learned in high school.
Seriously,
I know that.
yeah, that's actually so factual that we bring in like different people on like maybe during like whatever hour, like you go to a job that you would be interested in, and it's just like I don't know, it was just so eye
Can I throw
opening.
something out there? Can we get rid of exams?
Yeah.
What is the
I
purpose of
agree.
exams?
I can't
I
take a
don't
test.
get it.
You're
Being-
so
I'm
right.
sorry,
I am
I was
so bad at
Yeah.
test taking.
As in
I can
final
understand the
exams, just
material.
No, file exams. What? I don't get it. And
You're
I was a
just
high school
cramming.
teacher.
Yeah.
Do you do exams in the real world, like for your job, ever?
No.
No.
Do you do
Okay,
presentations
all
though?
in exams.
That's my job.
Exactly. That's what I wish we were like. That's my favorite. Is when we have
And
to.
I've
put
had
together
this
a presentation.
question forever. It's like, what is the purpose of exam? They've already studied all this. Are we trying to trick them
Yes.
into giving them another grade? Again, so much pressure
Yeah.
that we
There's,
put on them.
Yeah.
I don't know
yeah.
if that's controversial, but
And
No,
it's-
Students don't even
Controversy
believe
is
it.
good. We're
I-
good. Our Twitter,
I have something
Twitter
to say
handle.
about
It's
Our
gonna, it's gonna blow it.
I meant,
Principal Bacon might not like what we're talking about, but the kids certainly will.
I'm telling you, I don't get it.
Yeah.
what were you gonna say, Anna?
So I'm in the
I'm
CAPS
with you.
teacher ed program, and so I know a lot about education and what we do, and we've had this exact discussion so much, as far as yes, it's important to learn certain things because you say, and when am I ever going to use this? But it's actually helping with your brain development, so that's one reason why we learn a lot of things. But the exams shouldn't be for the students; it should be for the teachers to see
Ooh, I
how they
like
taught.
that.
Oh, that's trippy.
That's a paradigm shift.
Once teachers see how students do on their tests, that's when they can really go in and help them develop their skills and also help them find
I agree.
what they're good at. Teachers should be able to find help kids find what they're good at.
And I will say, just real quick, since I like to talk a lot, I'm gonna keep this short. That a teacher that does a very good job, and all the teachers at Blue Valley are great. I'm not discrediting any of them, but a teacher who does that, I think, easily the best is Mr. Mowry. He does not do tests. He lets you kind of do your own thing like you would in the real world. He gives you a due date when stuff is due by. And then you go up and he gives you 3 different types. Oh yeah, he treats us just like adults. And he said that in the very beginning. And everything he does and how he talks to you and the things he says and the way he carries his classroom, it's all very adult, real world. If you want to do this, you're going to do it. And if you don't want to do it, you're not going to do it.
There's consequences.
And that's just it. World geography. That's what he takes. And then I think he does some senior stuff too. But I mean, I didn't take a single test in that class, and he'd let you draw maps for the people that are artistically oriented, and then he'll let you talk for people like me. He'll let you. I mean, he just gave so many different options, none of which were tests, and everyone enjoyed his class. And at the very end.
Did you learn? Yeah.
I learned a lot because at the very end, he made us give a presentation in front of the entire class for our final. He gave us 5 different topics. He made us research all 5, and he picked one that day. So we had to have information on every single one. Then the one he gave us after he rolled a dice,
Nice.
then we had to present about it. And you could see some people just didn't know their stuff, and it was that obvious. And some people just got up there and rocked it. I loved how he did that. I loved his class.
That's pretty cool.
That's cool. That is cool. Well, as we close in on, we're closing in on an hour. I think we're about 3 to 4 minutes away from an hour, and we thought we were going to maybe do 45 minutes, so it goes that fast, which is awesome. And you guys, great feedback. Good. Hopefully we get some folks that listen to this, kids and adults, that can learn something from a parenting style or learn. One thing I got out of this is I think we need to coin Miss Pickard's saying and put it on a T-shirt of vulnerability is sexy. I mean, that's a T-shirt.
Yeah. She would
Bro tag.
love that. Should wear that every day.
Because that was a great thing I heard. Another great thing I heard is find your friends early. Make sure that you stick with your moral compass. Be comfortable in your own skin before you try to be comfortable in some other skin for somebody else. I mean, you guys really gave us a lot of good wisdom. And my hope is, as parents are listening to this, and I promise, in fact, I hope we get some feedback of, I can't believe you said this, because if we didn't, then we're not stirring up good conversations, right, within households, within families.
Yeah.
And the reality is, all these topics that we talked about tonight, for the most part, I pretty much guarantee every household's talking about them. And so hopefully we'll have opportunities to do more stuff like this. So I really want to thank all of you. We're going to go around one last time for any closing last comments that you might have about either this podcast, the Fathers Club, interest in doing this, whatever you want, unabated. You do whatever you want. This is not a final exam. You get to pick your poison. Cool.
Awesome.
So, but I'll say mine, and we'll close up when we're done. We'll start with you, Hannah, come around. Right. And that is, again, just cannot tell you guys how much I appreciate this. What a great idea. I think this is going to be a great ongoing thing that will have endless topics, hopefully for many months to come. So really appreciate y'all being here. So.
Mine would just be thank you for opening up your house, and thank you, Colin, for bringing up this idea, and thank you to you guys for filming this. This is awesome. And just as a closing statement, as the topic of being comfortable in your own skin, just find your passion. I think that's the biggest thing, is just find what you want to do and roll with it.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Mine would definitely have to be find your morals, know your morals, and then stick to them. That's helped me through high school so much.
You skipping yourself?
No, I'm going after you.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to go a little less deep, and I'm just going to say, well, I'm glad that one of the 100,000 things I say a day was actually productive enough to come to life. So that's really cool to me that we got to do this. So I thank you for making this happen. And I'm going to end on my beef of the week and my peer of the week. Maybe I'll go with that. My beef this week, I mean, it's going to have to be finals. I know it's next week, but God, it's already killing me. The study guides is like 8, 10, 12 page. Oh my God. Like,
and it's for a grade. Is yours for a grade?
Some aren't. But I mean, like, God, it's just bringing my, as the podcast that I got this idea from, it said stoke a lot, so I'm not trying to copyright them, but it's really bringing my stoke down. As for my peer of the week, you know, I'm going to have to give that to Miss O'Brien. She's just been pushing me, and I have these great conversations with her, and I don't know, it's just, I feel like I learn a lot every time I talk to her, and I hope that everybody else has that person, or at least after this can find that person. So I'm going to end on that.
Beautiful.
All right. Well, I'm going to end. I know I'm not Alex Tata, but I appreciate being able to come here and talk to you guys tonight. So thank you for having us in here. Thank the Father Club for going through with the plan or the idea. Yeah.
And we appreciate you filling in on such a last minute.
Yeah. You know, somebody said this, and I can't remember which one of you all said that, but I would really encourage you all to find somebody at school that you see and go talk to them and just be present to them and someone that you see, because there's someone that you never know what's going on behind closed doors. Mm-hmm. And just going up and just talking to somebody, just taking an active interest in them, you'll be amazed at how much you're just going to change their outlook in their world just by doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I want to thank you guys for being here today, and for the guys behind the camera. I think it's really cool that you guys have embraced the Fathers Club. I think when Brad first came to me and this started, I was like, it's a really neat idea, but I wonder how kids are going to really react to that. Are they going to embrace this, or are they going to think this is just parents wanting to become even more involved and swarming over them? And so to have this and to make this kind of recommendation, I think is really cool. And I've enjoyed the conversation, and not that I didn't have a lot of respect for you before coming in, but I have even more so because this was a very mature, well thought out conversation. So thank you.
Awesome.
And please blow us up with comments on our Instagram, BV Fathers Club on Instagram.
Do you want
Club
more of this?
_BV. Yeah, right. Do you want more of this? Do you want less? What topics? We want this to be driven by our community, our Blue Valley community, really. So we look forward to those comments. And to Sean Sexton, Chase, what's your last name, buddy?
Arnold.
Chase Arnold, Sean Sexton, the guys that have been behind the cameras and the videoing and the audio. Great stuff. So thank you for being a part of and listening to our first podcast.